Dr. Cooper on?
Yes, I am. If you'd like to do the electronic meeting motion at the same time, we can do both at once.
All right, let's do that. Pursuant to Governor Lee's Executive Order number 78 regarding electronic meetings, I make a motion that this committee meeting agenda constitutes essential business of the Metropolitan Council and that meeting electronically is necessary to protect the health, safety, and welfare of Tennesseans in light of the COVID-19 outbreak. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All right, Director Cooper, roll call vote, please.
Yes, ma'am. Allen?
Aye.
Benedict?
Aye.
Druffel?
Aye.
I don't believe Glover is on. Mendez? Porterfield?
Aye.
Roten?
Aye.
Sledge?
Aye.
Suara?
Aye.
Syracuse?
Aye.
Toombs?
Aye.
Vercher?
Aye.
Young? Councilmember Young? 10 in favor, 0 against. You do have a quorum.
Fantastic. Before we get started with the agenda items, our treasurer, Michelle Bosch, had some brief comments that she wanted to make in regard to short-term rental tax collection. Sorry. Ms. Bosch, are you on the line? Okay. I do not see her name. Director Cooper, do you know if she's running late? I see a hand.
I do not know. She did not have a, I don't think she was on the invitation list. Mr. Jameson has his hand up. He may know more.
Mr. Jameson, you're recognized.
Yes, Madam Chair. I was just going to say if you would possibly consider moving that to the heel, and I will contact Ms. Bosch and find out what I can.
Okay, that's fine. So we'll move on to the consent agenda. We have 6 items on the consent agenda. Resolution 2021-789, Resolution 2021-791, 792, 793, 796, and 797. Are there any of those items that need to come off of consent? I'm looking for Councilwoman Allen.
Yes, I would like to take 797 off, please.
All right. Are there any other items that need to come off of consent? I do not see any other hands, so I'm going to read the captions. All right. Resolution 2021-789, Toombs, Murphy, Bradford, Gamble, and Suara approve the grant from the Tennessee Historical Commission to the Metro Nashville Historical Commission to provide for a comprehensive countywide cemetery preservation plan. Resolution 2021-791, Murphy, Toombs, Van Rees, and Suara approves an in-kind grant from the McCabe Park Little League to the Metro Nashville Parks and Recreation Department to provide materials and labor to improve and develop McCabe Park in order to better serve the community. Resolution 2021-792, Toombs, Murphy, and Nash approves a construction agreement between CSX Transportation Incorporated, a Virginia corporation with its principal place of business in Jacksonville, Florida, and Metro Public Works for the reimbursement of CSXT performed railroad crossing safety improvements at Post Road Railroad Crossing. Resolution 2021-793, Toombs, Murphy, and Nash approves an intergovernmental agreement between the Tennessee Department of Transportation and Metro Public Works for the reimbursement of railroad crossing safety improvements at Post Road. Resolution 2021-796, O'Connell, Toombs, Murphy, and Nash authorizes the Metro Department of Water and Sewage Services to enter into a facility encroachment agreement with CSX Transportation Incorporated to construct, use, and maintain a water main in the railroad right-of-way at Division Street south of 7th Avenue South. Are there any items that need to come off of the consent agenda? I do not see any hands. Can I get a motion? There's second.
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded to approve the consent agenda. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, Director Cooper, will you take the roll call vote, please?
Allen,
Aye.
Benedict,
Aye.
Druffel, Porterfield,
Aye.
Roten, aye. Sledge,
Aye.
Suara,
Aye.
Searles, aye. Toombs,
Aye.
Archer.
Aye.
10 in favor, 0 against.
Motion carries. Director Cooper, Resolution 2021-757, which is the CSP, I want to put that at the end of the agenda. Does there need to be a motion for that, or can I just move it?
No, you can just move it to the hill.
Okay, fantastic. Resolution 2021-787, Toombs and Gamble, approves a contract between Metro Government and Youth Opportunity Investments, LLC, for operation and management services for the Davidson County Juvenile Detention Facility. Can I get a motion?
Move to approve.
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Councilwoman Allen?
Thanks. I just, because of the history with this organization, I think we just need to be careful as we move forward with them. So I appreciate some of the comments that were made about performance checks along the way and the liquidated damages. I do want to know, we are still paying them on a per diem, per student, per youth model. Are there other models where the payments are based on outcome as opposed to per diem? I mean, on some other kind of measure of either training or good social services supports or something? And that's probably a question for Judge Callaway.
Director Cooper, is Judge Callaway on, or is Ms. Simbeck going to answer all of the questions?
Miss Sindex as well. Callaway also is.
Okay. Hello. Didn't see you.
Good to see you all.
Do you want to take that one, Judge Callaway?
I can. Most of the majority of, I'll just say that most detention contractors do their costing based on the per diem per child that's in the facility. I will also say in this instance, there were only 2 organizations that attempted to do the contract, YOI facility and another facility out of, I believe it was Denver or Colorado or somewhere out there. That contract was actually more costly than what the YOI contract was. And everything as part of the procurement process, YOI clearly was a better fit for our detention facility than the other facility was.
Thank you, Judge Callaway. Was there anything else, Councilwoman Allen?
No, I just want to go on record saying with regard to any prison contract we have, I would love for us to try to work into the payment structure some kind of reward or incentive for positive outcomes, as opposed to just the more people you have in there, the more money you make, and make, I think it could be a hybrid transition or an extra layer or something, but this industry much better than I do and could help craft that. So I just want to get people in the know thinking along those lines, but I appreciate the answer to my questions.
Thank you.
Councilwoman Suara?
Thank you, Judge Callaway. I had a very good discussion with the judge yesterday, and I wanted to make sure that some of it goes on record. I think part of what Councilmember Allen was talking about is one of the concerns that I had, to make sure that we have a lot of things in place to protect the kids. So the question that I have for Judge Callaway that I already got my answer, but I wanted her to share, is the fact that a lot of people worry that we're paying so much per diem per child to this facility. My understanding is that the number of detainees or student or youth in the facility is reduced. And so is there any reason why the contract has not reduced? Would you share what you shared with me with everyone?
I definitely will. As you know, right now, youth crime is definitely on the decrease, which is a positive thing. We contract for a set number of youth in the detention facility. And I believe right now it is 40. I think I told you last night it was 42. I believe it's 48, Council Lady Sarah. And so at that rate, it's the per diem per child at that flat rate. That is an important number to keep, and important for us to keep in the contract. And the primary reason is because that is the way that they staff their individuals that work into the facility. And so if we were to reduce the number and reduce the amount that we were paying them, and they reduced their staff, if all of a sudden we had an increase of children, whether it was 5 kids or 10 kids in one night, we would not be properly staffed. And in fact, when we had the escape incident, we were at the high end of the number of children in the facility, and that was one of the issues that they were having, keeping enough staff in there. And so now we are at a great point where they have plenty of staff. They're doing a great job. We've put in more, accountability measures within the contract, and immediate fines if they were to violate any of things like not having enough staff in order to do the staff to student ratio. And so and Councilman Allen, and I understand concerns about private facilities as well, and paying people and people profiting off of children. I don't think that in this case that we are looking at that type of situation, and they are doing a lot of programs and services for the money that we're giving them.
Thank you. And I think the program and services was the other thing that we discussed to make sure that, we're having a lot of programs for these kids. And I'm glad for all the work that you're doing to reduce the number of youth in the system as well. All of that goes hand in hand. But I wanted to put that all on record to show that at least you're looking at all of this and making sure that they are doing what they need to do. So thank you.
Thank you. And we definitely have increased the number of services and programs that we're using.
Councilmember Benedict.
Thank you, Chair. So I believe most of my concerns, or most of the things that I wanted to talk about, were covered both by Councilwoman Allen and Swara. I just want to say I am in support of this. I certainly took quite a discerning eye to the outsourcing of any type of detention center activities in our city. I think that when we get the Juvenile Justice Center and the Juvenile Detention Center into a new facility, that we will have an opportunity to reevaluate this. However, I do believe that at this point in time, given this current circumstances, given the discerning eye and the, I believe, wins that the children have had as a result of this newly negotiated contract, I think that it's a good thing right now. I hope that at some point in the future, we're able to move away from a for-profit scenario. In the meantime, until we get that new facility, I believe that this is the right decision given the levels of accountability that are in this new contract. So this has my support. I certainly have vetted this and spoken with the judge and Ms. Sinback over the years, the past year, to make sure that we are on track with taking care of our kids in a way that uses taxpayer money in a responsible manner, which is what this committee is about. So I'm grateful for the hard work there within the juvenile justice system. And I do think that we really need to focus on the capital spending in the future. I know we're going to talk about the CSP shortly, but I think we need to make sure that we are looking at that, because that will also provide us the opportunity to bring these items either in-house so that we can have better metro services available to our constituents. But in the meantime, I think this is a good thing, and I would encourage my colleagues to support it both tonight in committee as well as tomorrow night. Thank you, and I appreciate the work by Judge Callaway. I've been impressed by you from the get-go, and yet you also have been a good partner in making sure that we are doing all that we can and using things correctly and appropriately, and I appreciate that partnership. And also I anticipate that, we'll continue to hold you accountable to making sure that you're using these funds and taxpayer funds appropriately to bring these kids rehabilitated and better outcomes than where we've been in the past. So thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Thank you, Councilor Benedict.
All right, looking back through the queue to see if there are any other hands. Seeing none, Director Cooper, will you take the roll call vote, please?
Allen?
Aye.
Benedict?
Aye.
Truffle?
Aye.
Porterfield?
Aye.
Roten?
Aye.
Sledge?
Aye.
Swara?
Aye.
Syracuse?
Aye.
Toombs?
Aye.
Berkshire?
Aye.
Sure, I've got everybody. That's 10 in favor, 0 against.
Motion carries. Resolution 2021-797, Toombs, Nash, and Swara approves an application for a flood mitigation assistance grant from the Tennessee Emergency Management Agency to the Metro Water and Sewerage Services Department for flood mitigation. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Councilwoman Allen?
Yes, ma'am. I just wanted to check. I was poking around on the assessor's site, and these properties are appraised at less than the amount that this grant is for, even without the local match. So my question is and all the other houses around them were also appraised for much lower than that. Is there someone who can speak to how we determine what we pay in a buyout and how it relates to what the assessed value is?
Councilmember Allen, there may be someone from the administration that can address that, but I can tell you that in order to use the federal funds, you have to pay the fair market value of the property, not considering its condition as a flood-prone property. So the assessed value would likely be quite a bit lower than what the appraised value would be. But there may be somebody from Metro Water that can better address that.
This is Tom Palco. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes. So what you're seeing on the land information system is typically low, like John just said. So we pay full market value, but also the grant includes the environmental survey, abatement if necessary, also includes demolition and restoration of the property back to a grass lot. So it includes everything from starting with the appraisals all the way till we got a flat lot with grass growing on it. Everything is included in the cost. And in these FEMA grants, the typical FEMA portion is 75% of the cost, and Metro pays 25% of the cost. In some of the grants, though, the Tennessee Department of TEMA will pick up part of the local share, so sometimes our cost is less. But this one right now, as it's scheduled, will be 75% FEMA, 25% Metro.
Great. I appreciate that explanation. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, looking through the queue to see if there are any additional hands. Seeing none, Director Cooper, will you take the roll call vote, please?
Allen?
Aye.
Benedict?
Aye.
Truffle?
Aye.
Porterfield?
Aye.
Roten?
Aye.
Sledge?
Aye.
Swara?
Aye.
Syracuse?
Aye.
Toombs?
Aye.
Berkshire?
Aye.
10 in favor, 0 against.
All right, motion carries. Moving on to late file resolutions. First late resolution by Toombs and Nash, amends resolution number RS-2656 by replacing the exhibit thereto, the transportation plan, with the revised version thereof. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Is there someone from the administration that wants to explain what the changes are or give a brief summary?
Councilmember, this is Faye DeMassimo. These are merely housekeeping amendments that were either minor corrections or minor edits to wording as requested in those final days of the consideration of the transportation plan that didn't make it into the document at the time it was adopted, but we kept them as a list of housekeeping edits that would need to be incorporated just to reflect those last minute items.
Thank you. All right, I don't see any other hands. Director Cooper, will you take the roll call vote, please?
Allen?
Aye.
Benedict?
Aye.
Druffel?
Aye.
Porterfield?
Aye.
Roten?
Aye.
Sledge?
Aye.
Suara?
Aye.
Syracuse?
Aye.
Toombs?
Aye.
Bircher? That was an aye. 10 in favor, 0 against.
Motion carries. Moving on to the second late file resolution by Hurt, Toombs, and others. Request the office of the trustee to allow property tax payments received during the first 5 days of March to not be considered delinquent as a result of the February 2021 winter weather event. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Okay, I do not see any. Here we go. Councilwoman Allen. I see you, Councilwoman Hurt.
I'm trying to, I'm sorry. I've been trying, there's too much stuff going on my computer.
I see your church finger.
Okay.
I'm gonna do Councilwoman Allen first, then I'll get to you, Councilwoman Hurt.
Thank you.
Yes. Can either of the Misters Cooper speak to the legal implications of this and what the repercussions are of council voting on something that could perhaps be illegal?
This is John. I'll take the first stab at that. There's no authority under state law to provide a waiver, so that the trustee doesn't have the statutory authority to waive the interest. It by law has to accrue starting March 1st. This resolution itself does not actually waive any interest. It's just a memorializing resolution asking the trustee to do so. So whether the trustee follows that or not would be up to her. But there is no statutory authority. And so if the trustee did waive the interest, I believe the Department of Law has indicated that could subject Metro to some liability. But that's the extent of that is really unknown at this point.
And so, before I go to Councilwoman Hurt, you're next. I will add that the trustee's office has been in conversations with the comptroller's office, but as Director Cooper says, this resolution is just asking the trustee to waive the fees. Whether or not she does that is up to her. And again, she's had some conversations with the comptroller's office, and that portion would be between those two departments. I do want to recognize Councilwoman Hurt, and then I'll go to you, Mr. Cooper.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So we're looking at this a little differently, that we're not really asking to waive the fees, but to offer an extension. And in 2019 Tennessee Code Title 67-1701, when tax is payable, it says that all municipal taxes collectible by the county trustee shall become due and delinquent at the time of state and county taxes, provided that whenever under any plan or program of consolidation of governmental functions of county offices with comparable facilities provided under any municipal charter, it is expedient to fix different due dates than those established in subsection A in order to avoid the destruction of existing municipal fiscal policies The county trustee of any county, by and with the consent of a majority of the members of the county legislative body of the county trustees, county may establish due dates other than those set forth in subsection 8. So based on that, I believe that that we should be able to do so. But I just want to start out with a story about Mr. Roberts, a 75-year-old man. He and his wife have a combined income of a little more than the tax relief qualifying amount of $30,700. He and his wife has a combined income that is a little more, so they don't qualify for tax relief in order to have, and they don't have any more money. The offices were closed for 5 days. No mail ran for 5 days. And this winter storm was advised by our state and local governments for people not to move, to stay at home. The citizens were immobile, and under this advisory to stay at home, they could not get the assistance that they needed. So even if they did get out and went to the office, they would not be able to get any help because the offices were closed. It will assess the same amount of money as it would, they're just changing the date. We're only trying to give back the 5 days that was taken from them in this winter storm, and that the law says that you pay on the last day of February, which was on a Sunday. It didn't even acknowledge the fact that it could have been put off until today, a Monday, as most other, even in holidays or in other things, when you do not, are unable to meet it on that Sunday, it extends it to that Monday naturally, but it hasn't with that. And not only that, considering that we passed a 37%, well, 34%, and in some cases 37% increase in our property taxes, showing a little grace to extend time, I think, is a feasible thing. And Metro misses an opportunity by not showing that they care and just saying that they care. And I believe that if this is not something that we can do this time, I am prepared to move forward with the filing of this resolution and to offer a discount to those who pay their taxes early, which would then mean that we would have a much greater loss in our revenues than we would if we just extended some compassion and care on this 5-day extension. So with that, I ask my colleagues to support this resolution. And I really want to thank Trustee Gilmore and our Comptroller Mumphrey, because they have shown compassion and willing to coordinate and cooperate with us in order to find some kind of alternative way to tangibly show that they really do care about the citizens. And that's something that I think is missing from this administration, and we need to show them and take advantage of this opportunity, because all of it was an act of God. And for us to recognize that and show it, I think is a small thing to ask. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman Hurd. Mr. Cooper, you're recognized.
Thank you, Councilwoman Toombs. Appreciate the opportunity to talk to you, and I'm going to speak for a moment and then ask my colleague Margaret Darby to address the point that Councilmember Hurd just raised about moving the due date. But let me say, I think everyone is certainly in sympathy with the issues that are raised here. But the other thing to consider here is that obviously no one enjoys paying taxes. And that is why for a tax system to be effective, everyone must be confident, all taxpayers must be confident that the system applies equally and uniformly to all taxpayers. And this resolution appears to ask the trustee to take an action that is prohibited by a state law that is specifically designed to guarantee that taxpayer equality and uniformity. And that is Tennessee Code Section 67-5-2803. And it's rare that a prohibition is stated as clearly and comprehensively as this statute does. As we know, all property taxes are due the first Monday of October, and late interest begins to apply as of March 1. This statute prohibits not just waivers of interest, it prohibits any type of relief on property taxes. And that prohibition applies by the terms of the statute to public officials, to governmental entities, and to courts. Councilmember Allen, you asked, what could be the implications of a failure to comply with this statute. If the statute no longer applies, then that prohibition no longer applies to these entities, and the courts will be, unfortunately, very busy. I suspect there will be multiple claims brought in court by taxpayers seeking relief for reasons that they feel are just as compelling as the ones being cited here. That is the risk that we are running right now. This statute is a bulwark against those claims. That bulwark could very well disappear. If I could, Councilmember Hurt, refer this over now to Margaret Darby to discuss the legal issues related to defining this as a change in due date. Ms. Darby, could you pick up? She either is having a problem with a mute or, let's see.
My mute is not working.
Okay, hold on. Margaret's mute is not working. Is there any way to unmute her? Otherwise, I can let her speak over the telephone, and you can at least hear her that way.
Can you hear me now? Apologies for my computer mute not working properly. Just to address the statute that Councilmember Hurt brought up, it is in that statute that a change in the date of collection for the taxes is supposed to have happened upon consolidation, so that when a county and a municipality have consolidated, that the municipal taxes would be collected at a time that would not be inconsistent or cause hardship for that municipality at the time of the consolidation. Metropolitan government did not do that. We follow the October 1st or first Monday in October due date.
Okay. Was everyone able to hear that? The change in due date would have been an action to be taken at the time that Nashville and Davidson County consolidated. That action was not taken. Now, to go to the other point, certainly Councilmember Hurt, in the future, the council could consider adopting a schedule that provides discounts for early payment, but that is not something that would be in place currently. And I believe if there are no questions, Chair will turn this back over to you.
Thank you, Mr. Cooper. Councilwoman Porterfield.
Thank you so very much, Madam Chair. I just have one clarifying question for Director Cooper. This is non-binding. Is that correct? This is just an ask that the trustee makes this consideration. Is that correct? Is my understanding correct?
That's correct. It would be the council asking the trustee to do something that we have been advised the trustee doesn't have the authority to do. So whether the trustee acted on that request, again, would be up to her. But the resolution itself is memorializing.
Thank you so very much, Director. And with that, I would ask my colleagues to please just support this resolution. Councilmember Toombs has just stated that there have been some conversations already happening. So we are simply asking the trustee to do this. It will be up to the trustee on whether or not she is able to do it and to work out those details. So I'm asking our colleagues for support. Thank you.
Thank you, Council Member. Councilwoman Hurd, your hand's still up. Did you have?
Yes, I did. I wanted to say also that this is a resolution that's going to impact all taxpayers. We are asking that they extended the grace period of those 5 days that were taken away be extended to every taxpayer. So we're not trying to do something for one and not the other. This doesn't deal with any other issues. And I know that I'm not an attorney, but some of the things that they're saying is actually not, I didn't read that in the statute. So it's almost like it can be interpreted by any, prolific attorney, such as Mr. Cooper, or even yourself, Councilmember Toombs. So I'm just not sure. Again, my thought is that let's just extend this time. This winter situation occurred to no fault of the citizens. And what we're trying to do is just extend and let them know that we understand and we have compassion for them. My one question I would have for our finance director is how much revenue loss do you anticipate would be if this date was changed?
So this is Director Crumbo. Council Lady Toombs, am I recognized?
You are, yes.
Wanted to make sure I didn't evaluate process. And so the way that this would happen financially is that if there's a waiver of interest due to delinquency, that is not revenue that is already budgeted, right? And so any interest on delinquency would be new revenue relative to our budget. Does that make sense? In other words, let me give you some more numbers here. So we would normally expect that in this month of March, we would have about $100 million in tax receipts that arrive from property taxes. This year, we would have significantly more than that if this were to happen. And during this grace period, it sounds like 5 days may be your target here. So the receipts that would arrive that would be delinquent, the interest on that, which could turn out to be a few $1 million. That few $1 million is not in our revenue budget today. And one way to think of it would be found money to us. And so I would expect that there wouldn't be a revenue loss, but rather we'd be waiving new revenue that isn't really budgeted at this moment. So that should quantify the answer to it. I would say this, that while I've heard you discuss that this applies uniformly to all taxpayers, the way this really works, though, is that those property tax bills went out in October. And waiting until February is a risk that every taxpayer knowingly takes. And so for those that have already paid, which is close to $1 billion as of last Friday, they don't have the benefit of this extension because they have already paid. And I can see where those taxpayers may have some consternation for having done that, irrespective of the weather event. And so I put that out there as, some things for you to think about here. The rest of my thoughts are really laid out in the letter that I sent to you earlier today, and I'm glad to answer questions about those.
Thank you so much. That sounds like you can't miss what you never had if you hadn't already gotten that money. And also, I was in the trustee's office today, and there was a gentleman there who indicated that since October, he had been saving his money trying to come up with what he had to pay for his taxes. So I'm sure he would have been very happy to pay those taxes early if he could have. And he said he doesn't have any more money. And the trustee told him, but I'm sorry, mister, there is a 1.5% tax penalty that you're going to have to pay. He said, I cannot pay anymore. This is all that I have. So while I understand that you have almost $1 billion paid by many citizens who are able to pay, there is a population of people out there who do not have it so good that they can pay those taxes, especially with there being a 34%, 37% tax increase. So I appreciate that, but I think that we've got to make sure that we hear the voices and the cries of all of our people. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman Hurd. Councilwoman Suara.
Thank you, Chair. I just wanted to add a little thing. I was going to respond to paying early, but I think Councilmember Holt got that. But I think that what I want to stress for everyone listening and those of us is that the state really ties up our hand in so many ways. Every time it comes to property taxes, there's not much we could do. Every time we come up with a solution, the state says no, we cannot do it, and it's very disheartening considering what people are going through right now. It's just so I'm encouraging everyone to please keep talking to those state legislatures because they need to give the power back to us to be able to help our people. As far as the resolution is concerned, this is something that we can do. This is something that it's showing that we did hear people and we're listening to them and we're trying to do something. We'll do it. And if the state said no at the end of the day, it's going to not do anything, but we want people to at least know that we heard them and we're making an attempt to do something. So thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman Suara. I am going back through the queue to see if there are any additional hands. Seeing none, Director Cooper, will you take the roll call vote, please?
Allen?
Abstain.
Benedict? Councilmember Benedict? Druffel?
Aye.
Porterfield?
Aye.
Roten?
No.
Sledge?
Aye.
Suara?
Aye.
Syracuse?
Aye.
Toombs?
Aye.
Vercher?
Director Cooper is maybe a vote.
Director Cooper, I'm sorry, I missed the vote.
I'm an aye.
Okay, Benedict?
I'm an aye. Thank you, sorry.
That's 8 in favor, 1 against, 1 abstaining.
All right, motion carries. Moving on to bills on second reading. Bill 2021-618, O'Connell, Welch, Allen, and Suara, provides for the waiver of certain building permit fees for the repair or rebuilding of property damaged as a result of the December 25th, 2020 blast. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
It's been properly moved and seconded. I see that Councilmember O'Connell is on the line. Councilmember O'Connell, do you want to move your amendment?
Yes, please. Move the amendment.
Can I get a second?
Second.
Okay. It's been properly moved and seconded to approve the amendment. Councilmember O'Connell, do you want to explain what the amendment is?
Sure, thank you. Colleagues will probably remember in the wake of the tornado, we took a similar action to allow people trying to rebuild to have some relief through the Metro process. This is a very similar bill, collaboration with the administration, multiple Metro departments. We've got just a tiny little bit of housekeeping in there that is in the amendment. But in essence, this is basically allowing those people impacted by the Nashville bombing trying to rebuild, be able to do so without the fee process that is ordinarily a part of the building and demolition scenario from impacting them unduly. And I would encourage colleague support. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councilmember. And I'm looking through the queue to see if there are any hands. We are on the amendment. Director Cooper, will you take the roll call vote, please?
Allen?
Aye.
Benedict?
Aye.
Druffel?
Aye.
Porterfield?
Aye.
Roten?
Aye.
Sledge?
Aye.
Suara?
Aye.
Syracuse?
Aye.
Toombs?
Aye.
Vercher?
Aye.
10 in favor, 0 against.
Motion carries. Can I get a motion to move the bill as amended?
So moved.
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, Director Cooper, will you take the roll call vote, please?
Allen?
Aye.
Benedict?
Aye.
Druffel?
Aye.
Porterfield?
Aye.
Councilmember Roten?
Aye.
Sledge?
Aye.
Suara?
Aye.
Syracuse?
Aye.
Toombs?
Aye.
Vercher? 10 in favor, 0 against.
Motion carries. Going back to resolution, the first item on the agenda, resolution 2021-757, Toombs, Van Rees, and Rosenberg issues general obligation bonds of the metro government in an aggregate principal amount of not to exceed $474 million, $474,610,000. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded. Councilmember Sledge, you have an amendment and a substitute. What do you want to do?
Thank you, Chair. I'd like to move the substitute, please.
Okay. Can I get a second?
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded. Councilmember Sledge, do you want to explain what the substitute does?
Sure, Chair. The only thing the substitute does is it adds. It does not take away from anything. It adds $7 million for Phase 2 of Fair Park. As folks will note in the substitute amendment packet, it is certified legally and as to the availability of funds. Obviously, that's not an endorsement, but I have spoken with the administration, I've spoken with the finance director. The reason I brought this substitute was mainly from a timeliness issue. This project, members who were part of the last council will know we did the Fair Park Phase 1 in previous capital spending plans. That work is all done under a stormwater variance that has a 5-year lifespan. We are 14 months from the expiration of that stormwater variance, and we probably won't see another CSP for a little while, so that's the urgency in getting this project in. Again, does not take away from anything else, simply add $7 million to the CSP. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Councilmember Sledge. I am looking through the queue to see if there are any hands. Seeing none, Director Cooper, will you take the roll call vote?
Allen?
Aye.
Benedict?
Aye.
Druffel?
Aye.
Porterfield?
Aye.
Roten?
Aye.
Sledge?
Aye.
Suara?
Aye.
Syracuse?
Aye.
Toombs?
Aye.
Vercher? Councilmember Vercher?
Aye.
10 in favor, 0 against.
All right, motion carries. Can I get a motion to move the bill as substituted?
So moved.
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded. Councilmember Sledge, were you going to move the amendment?
No, ma'am, Chair.
Okay. Is there any discussion on the bill as the resolution is substituted? Seeing none, Director Cooper, will you take the roll call vote, please?
Allen?
Aye.
Benedict?
Aye.
Druffel?
Abstain.
Porterfield?
Aye.
Roten?
Abstain.
Sledge?
Aye.
Suara?
Aye.
Syracuse?
Aye.
Toombs?
Aye.
Vercher?
Aye.
8 in favor, 0 against, 2 abstaining.
All right, motion carries. And the last thing we have on the agenda is Ms. Bosch. I saw that she had joined the meeting and she wanted to give us some brief comments on short-term rental tax collections. And for the sake of time, even though we are early, budget and finance is early. But anyway, for the sake of time, if you could, whatever questions you have, you could reach out to her directly after the meeting. Ms. Bosch?
Thank you for the recognition, Councilmember Toombs. Hi, everybody. For those of you that don't remember me, my name is Michelle Bosch. I am your new treasurer. I came here to kind of give you a little bit of heads up of some legislation that was passed earlier this summer in the middle of the pandemic. It's a Tennessee House Bill 1830. It's also known as our short-term rental collections legislation, which essentially converts our collections office short-term rentals and moves those collection responsibilities from our offices directly to the state. Our situation that we wanted to share with the group is that there is a lack of information in terms of process and procedures and how we are to stop collecting those short-term rentals from our taxpayers. There's also a bit of confusion, we understand, from the local taxpayers, and based on current volumes, and just so that I don't know how much time I have, but I wanted to give you the gist of it. But if you have more questions, obviously, like Councilmember Toombs, contact me. But just to give you the gist of it is the state is now collecting short-term rental taxes for Davidson County, but we are still receiving checks and deposit and tax forms directly in our offices to the same volume that we were pre-legislation, which is a concern for us because now we're thinking there's potentially taxpayers that are getting that are paying twice. They're getting collected directly from the Airbnb and Expedia marketplaces. They're collecting from them through there, and then they're self-collecting through our offices. We think that this is potential for issues in the future, as you might imagine, once a taxpayer realizes they've paid this tax twice. We're expecting that we're going to have a high volume of refund requests and potentially discontent taxpayers. So just wanted to make sure that our team was aware of this legislation and the complexity that it's bringing to our collections office. And the potential issues that we're going to have if we don't clear up the confusion.
Thank you, Ms. Bosch. And once again, committee members, if you have any follow-up questions, please reach out directly to Ms. Bosch. Councilwoman Henderson, I see your hand. Okay. So any questions or concerns you have, please reach out directly to Ms. Bosch, and I'm sure she'll be happy to address them. Director Cooper, am I missing anything? Because that's all I have.
That's everything on the agenda, Madam Chair.
All righty. Well, Budget and Finance is adjourned. Thank you.